Hi there, warm welcome to you. Can you hear me, viewers? Thank you for responding with yes. Thanks for watching. Warm welcome to all of you. Let me welcome the participants. Nasile joined, Simon Tisfire, Steve Irwin joined. First member who joined tonight's live chat is Steve Irwin. Welcome, Steve Irwin. Good to see you. You can be a member by clicking the link given in description section of this live chat or about a section of the channel. Members pay a few dollars per month, $1, $2, or $3 per month to be members. uh, Anyone can subscribe, but those who can pay a few dollars per month, they become members. They are given special badges. I always encourage members to join me on my vision news in live discussions. They can send videos. They can appear on my vision news. So far, no one has been willing. I can understand they have issues. They have their uh, problems. They cannot show their identity. That is why I understand. But they're welcome if they want to be on my vision news. Uh, we have Kibriya Kidane, Maka Dori, Yaso, Sahle joined too. Sahle is also member. Good day, Sahle. Good to see you. Tekle Goitom here. Kaset Solomon joined. Barakat here. Uh, Sahle says your followers are growing as I see it. Yeah, people watching, people liking, people sharing. Samson Tishome joined. Cryptomine is name calling. Okay, let's move ahead. We are anonymous join. Sar Jatani here. Isfaldet Hapte. Jackie Gossa joined. The Hello. Cryptomine is calling me a crackhead. Isfa Gabriel de Georgis FBG Paisa Hirko here. Avit Sehai join. Kedko, a name in Amharic. Atwa Africa TV join. A regular participant. Welcome, Atwa Africa TV. Samuel Adiso here. Ethiopia Bicha. Regular participant. Welcome. Katko says, I like your speed of reporting and clarity in the flow of the news. Yeah, you need to be clear. Admaso. For example, if you're covering a conflict, you must be clear about it. Analysis is not always correct, but don't be afraid to analyze things. Build an analysis, share it with people, discuss it. If you're proven wrong, you will improve yourself. So always try to understand, always try to have your own views about a conflict. Because if your views are wrong, you will improve. That's what I believe. That is why whenever I cover conflicts, I see the developments, I then build an analysis. Sometimes I'm wrong, but then I try to improve. So what is happening in Middle Eastern war, not civil war, it needs to be concluded on daily basis. It needs to be linked. Developments are linked there. And then we can see the things in the real light. Maka Dori, I remember you used to be a participant in live chats in the past, but then you disappeared. Am I right? A name in Amharic says Fano is taking over entire Amhara. Leo, let me tell you why I am saying that Adwa celebration was controversial. Let me explain. You just started accusing me. Come on, just listen to me. Okay, let's start with this new story about Adwa celebrations. Why am I calling Adwa celebrations controversial, which happened today? Let's talk about Iran a little later. Uh, I'll speak for around 5 minutes. Just give me 5 minutes. I'll explain. You know that Adwa Day, Adwa Victory Day, is celebrated to uh, pay homage to remember the sacrifices of those Ethiopians who fought during Adwa War in 1890s. Uh, Adwa was the center of the wars between Ethiopian forces and Italians. So this day is celebrated to unite Ethiopians, to send a message to the world that Ethiopia is united, that no one from outside can take over Ethiopia, that no one in the past was able to subjugate Ethiopia, and no one in the present, no one in future will be able. Adwa Victory Day used to be basically a day to celebrate and preach unity in Ethiopia. Correct me where I'm wrong, by the way. Correct me where I'm wrong. And if you remember, main Adwa celebration used to be held in Adwa in Tigray, because the name is Adwa. And if you remember, the Adwa Victory Day celebrations in Tigray were always attended by Ethiopian military commanders. Ethiopian president used to participate there in Adwa. Why? Because technically, I think Ethiopian president is the chief of Ethiopian military. Is the chief of military technically, though practically military is not taking orders from him. Practically, prime minister is powerful in most parliamentary democracies, Westminster parliament democracies. Prime minister is powerful, like in Pakistan. But Pakistan is a different story. Their military is strong. So in Ethiopia, president's role is symbolic, ceremonial. But if you remember, presidents in Ethiopia used to go to Adwa to attend Adwa Victory Day celebrations, and they used to talk about unity. They used to talk about unity to counter threats from abroad. So it was a day of celebrating and preaching unity. What happened today? Why am I saying that controversial Adwa celebrations were held today in Ethiopia? Did you see unity in Ethiopia today when Tigrayans celebrated Adwa in Tigray, while government celebrated in Addis Ababa? Where was Task Selassie today? Where was ENDF chief today? Jula. Where was Jula today? Did he go to Adwa? Did Task Selassie go to Adwa? I don't think so. I could not confirm uh, participation of Ethiopian federal government leaders in celebrations in Tigray. So parallel Adwa Victory Day celebrations were held in Tigray and in Addis Ababa. That is why I'm calling these celebrations controversial, showing that there is lack of unity in Ethiopia. This day preaches unity in Ethiopia, but the celebrations held on this day were evident of differences and disputes among Ethiopians. Firstly, Secondly, the federal leaders, Taske Selassie, Jula, delivered speeches, and they linked sea access issue to Adwa celebration today, as if the most important issue for Ethiopia now is sea access, as if issue of existential importance for Ethiopia is sea access. So Taske Selassie said that Adwa martyrs' legacy teaches Ethiopians that they need to work together, and sea access demand is one of the main demands of Ethiopians. That is what Ethiopians have learned from the legacy of Adwa martyrs. Jula delivered a fiery speech. He said, Adwa teaches us that we should fight not only external enemies, but the internal traitors too, who are being used by Ethiopian external enemies. Who are traitors? Who are called traitors in Ethiopia by Ethiopian military? Ethiopian military, federal government call Fano traitors. They call Tigray leaders traitors. They call Ola traitors. So Jula was basically announcing, celebrating Adwa, that Ethiopian military will continue fighting and killing Ethiopians, Fano fighters, Tigray fighters, Ola fighters. This is the type of unity which was displayed during Adwa celebrations in Ethiopia today. Now tell me, wasn't it controversial? Try to analyze it objectively, not as a Tigrayan, as an Amhara, as a PP supporter, as a Fano supporter, as anti-TPLF. No, analyze objectively. Today was not a day of unity. It was a day meant to celebrate and preach unity, but it showed how deep divisions are becoming in Ethiopia. Steve Irwin says Ethiopians have not united for a long time, Sajid. Yeah, but the divisions which we are seeing today perhaps are the worst. Minghan, I'll explain after a few minutes about Iran, UAE, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar. Alim says too many holidays in Ethiopia just in general. FBN says messages in Tigray were about Emperor Johannes IV and messages in Addis Ababa were about Emperor Menelik. Yeni Musica says, Hi Sajid, keep up the good work. Also keep up the Iran war news. Yeah, I am covering Iran, although it's difficult, by the way, because to cover a war, you need to be fully focused on that war. You should not do other uh, news stories, but uh, I've been covering Ethiopia for a long time now, for 5 years now. Uh, and it's my daily activity to know about Ethiopia, to understand, to talk to people. And all of my friends are from the Horn of Africa. My contacts are from Africa. I talk to Africans all day, or from Ethiopia, from Eritrea, pro-government, anti-government, pro-Fano, anti-Fano, pro-Tigray, pro-TPLF, anti-Tigray, anti-TPLF, Eritreans, etc. Ola, non-Ola, everyone. So that is why sometimes people ask questions about Pakistan. I don't know what is happening in Pakistan because I have no friends. I don't talk to people in Pakistan. All day I am busy with the people from the Horn of Africa, responding to their mails, their queries, sharing analysis with them, getting information from them, verifying information. That's what I do all day. And people say, tell us about Pakistan-Afghanistan war. What is happening there? I don't know what is happening there. One question, then we'll cover the situation in Middle East. Samuel Adisu says, what have you gained so far by covering Ethiopia for 5 years? What does Ethiopia, the Horn of Africa? I think understanding a new region, a new people, a new country is always good for you. It, I think, broadens your horizon. It broadens your way of analyzing your own country, your own people, your own self. So it's a learning, it's a journey of learning for me. I see myself as a student. I learn from people. Believe me, you won't be disappointed. I mean, uh, you see that sometimes Western people, they spend all their lives conducting a research on a topic and sometimes far away from their countries. Why? Because they get creative satisfaction from their work. They're satisfied. They think they're doing something. Perhaps that is the case with me as well, that learning a new thing, sitting far away from the actual uh, places where developments are happening, it's a learning for me. And it teaches me a lot. Okay, let's move on to the second topic now. Iran is hitting the US hard. Uh, the way Iranians are leveling US military bases in the Middle East, it is unprecedented in recent decades history. And no one was expecting that Iran will be able to inflict so much damage on the US, on US allies, on the economies across the world. There were fears, but Americans were dead sure that through blitzkrieg they will just overpower Iran. Iran won't be able to strike precisely. There are so many layers of defense which have been put in place to stop Iranian missiles, Iranian drones. But videos, pictures are confirming now that Iran is hitting the US hard. Now it has been confirmed, there is panic, by the way. There is panic in the Middle East. Panic is not because of US attack on Iran. It's not because of Israeli strikes on Iran. It's because of Iranian missile drone strikes across the Middle East. So Iran is creating panic in the Middle East. US and Israel fired the first shot. But Iran is now creating panic. And in the panic, you saw what happened in Kuwait today. It has been confirmed that three American F-15 were shot down. Earlier in the day, I told you about one F-15, US F-15, which had been shot down in Kuwait. Now, three confirmed. US has confirmed that their three F-15 fighter jets were shot down by mistake by Kuwaiti air defense systems. That is a sign of panic. That is a sign of lack of coordination. That is why three American planes were shot down. Six pilots on board managed to eject themselves and they are safe. Signs of panic, firstly. Say, I'm not proud of No Peace says, are you proud of Iran as a Muslim? Come on, let's keep our religious identity, our nationality aside. Let's analyze things neutrally, objectively, keeping our emotions aside, keeping our loyalties aside. If we don't do that, you won't be able to understand. You won't be able to understand if we don't do that. So, by mistake, it seems Kuwaitis fired missiles at US planes. I don't think Iran has claimed responsibility for it, or they have shown evidence that they shot down the American planes in Kuwait. But satellite images are not lying. I mean, you cannot hide satellite imagery. And satellite imagery is showing that American military bases in Kuwait and Bahrain have been leveled. Iran has conducted so many strikes on these bases that significant damage now is visible. Satellite imagery cannot be hidden by the US, by Israel, because there are other countries too that have satellites in the air and they are sharing real time information. American bases in Bahrain, Kuwait have been leveled, suffered serious losses there. And the four Americans who have been killed so far, they were killed in Kuwait. So, this is the first part of the story, that Iran is hitting targets precisely and American bases are being leveled. It's not that Iran is not suffering losses. No. Iran is under severe campaign of airstrikes. No doubt about that. Americans, Israelis, they are conducting carpet bombing of Tehran. Nuclear facilities being hit, missile launch sites being hit, everything is being hit. But their counter attack continuing so far, and their missiles hitting targets very precisely, despite so many layers of air defense system. I mean, all these American bases have air defense systems. In the air, there are American jamming, communication jamming planes, EW systems deployed to. There are on the sea, there are frigates and aircraft carriers which have their own air defense systems. So somehow Iranian missiles are penetrating or bypassing all these defenses and hitting American bases very precisely. Iran's airspace is still not under full control of Americans and Israelis. Once they do that, they will create havoc on the ground. But so far, they are not. They have not been able to control any airspace. Firstly, secondly, Iran is trying to show to the world that this war will be costly for everyone, not for just Iran. That is why Qatar was badly hit today. Qatar produces 20% of global LNG, liquefied natural gas. And Europe is one of the main buyers of LNG from Qatar. Iran today hit the LNG production plants in Qatar, where LNG production has been suspended. Immediately after that, gas prices rose in Europe. 30 to 40% increase in gas prices in Europe is being reported now. You know that Europe has been facing the challenge of rising energy prices. People protested, if you remember, in the past, in Germany, in other countries, for rising prices of gas. And now, when LNG is not going to reach Europe, what will happen? Then oil. Uh, Americans have deployed a force to protect the movement of oil tankers to the state of Hormuz and in neighboring areas. Uh, and this force is tanker security program. US Navy's tanker security program has several warships which are protecting the oil tankers which pass through the state of Hormuz, any state of Hormuz. I think there are 10 ships which have been deployed to protect the movement of oil in this area. And one was hit today. Iran today hit one warship which protects oil tankers. It was hit in Bahrain. It caught fire reportedly. And oil tankers have been hit too. I think 2 or 3 have been hit so far. So Saudi Arabia, Oman, Kuwait, UAE, they won't be able to freely export their fuel in the market. OPEC countries, they have, thank you, Yeni Musica, for buying the super sticker. OPEC countries have announced to increase production because since the start of war in the Middle East, oil prices have gone up by 10% in the last 3 days. 10% increase has happened. If state of Hormuz remains not open, Iran said it's not blocked, but Iran is hitting oil tankers there, so it's blocked, you can say. If state of Hormuz remains blocked, it means that oil prices will further rise. What will world economies do? OPEC countries say they are raising their production of fuel. Russia is also a member of OPEC. Saudi Arabia is also a member of OPEC. But will they really honor their commitment or not? Russians might see a chance of teaching Europe a lesson by limiting oil exports. Saudis will be under pressure. They perhaps will find it difficult to significantly increase their oil production. Why? Because today you saw that oil refinery was hit. Interestingly, the Saudi oil refinery which was hit today was reportedly hit by a missile which was fired by Houthis. Though it's not fully confirmed, I don't think Houthis have claimed responsibility for that. If it is confirmed that Houthis fired missiles which precisely hit the Aramco oil refinery, that would be a big development. It means that Houthis will attack oil facilities in the US, in Saudi Arabia. Houthis will attack oil facilities in Saudi Arabia, and there will be US military based in Saudi Arabia. And Iran will hit the oil facilities, gas facilities in Qatar, other parts of the Middle East. So the entire world, especially Europe, will suffer. America, produces oil. China has been buying oil from Iran, and China was one of the main customers for Iran. Now, China cannot buy fuel from Iran, but China, people say, has strategic reserves, so it can survive for several months. Meanwhile, it can reach deal with other countries to uh, make up the losses. But the way Iran is hitting targets, not just military bases, hitting oil, gas infrastructure. And by the way, Iran could hit oil, gas infrastructure, which is underwater too. If it starts hitting that infrastructure, even that could be deadlier for the world economies. So this war, if it goes on, it could be deadlier than Russia-Ukraine war. Iran knows where it should hit. They hit Amazon data center today in Dubai, which is being used by Israelis. Several sources confirm that Israelis have been using that Amazon cloud storage for years. So they have clarity about the targets. They're not just hitting military targets. They're hitting those targets which are of regional and global importance. They want the world to know that if Iran dies, Iran won't be alone. Others will also die. Minghon, I think I responded to your question. All the countries in the Middle East, they are feeling the heat of Iranian strikes, direct or indirect, military or economic pressure is there on all of them, especially on the UAE. Dubai, if not peaceful, will be a nightmare for the Emirati economy. And Iran is making Dubai not safe, where drones are falling, where missiles are landing. What economic activity will happen there? International airlines are being told that tonight Dubai's airports will be operational and flight operations will resume. So we'll see in coming hours what happens. But once flight operations start, Iran might launch more missiles. If somehow Dubai resumes its flight operations at two airports and Iran does not hit Dubai anymore, we could see some stability. Otherwise, UAE is one of those countries which is facing the real consequences of this war. Yiji Zakir says, Dear Sajid, please keep reporting, including the Middle East crisis. Yeah, I'm trying my best, brother. Ming Hon says, Comrade Sajid, gas prices doubled overnight, went from $2.7 to $5 overnight. And it could go up further because of the uh, because of signs of no de-escalation. Trump was due to speak before I started live chat. I heard that American president was due to speak. I don't know what he said. Maybe if he shows some flexibility and invites Iran to dialogue, we could see some stability. Otherwise, Iran is fighting back. He said, do you think the Russians or Chinese are providing intelligence to the Iranians? Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, America is keeping China engaged by backing Taiwan in Chinese neighborhood. America keeps Russia engaged in Russian neighborhood by backing Ukraine. Now, this is the time for Russia and China to keep America engaged here in the Middle East. It's not American neighborhood, but if America is trapped here, it could be costly for American interests in the Middle East. So they will back, not directly, indirectly. And I told you in last night's live chat that the naval maneuvers which were conducted before the start of this war involving Iranian, Russian, Chinese warships and other units of militaries actually were meant to deliver weapons to Iran. Iran did receive weapons from Russia and China, and they are definitely getting support, satellite support, intelligence support, which is, by the way, very significant in today's wars. In current wars, intelligence matters a lot. How did Americans kill Ayatollah Ali Khamenei? Because they had superior intelligence collection mechanisms, human or technical. So if Russians and especially Chinese, by the way, Chinese don't disclose their capabilities. We saw their capabilities during Pakistan-India war, that they just made a mockery of Indian Air Force. Chinese backed Pakistani Air Force, and from Pakistani territory, Pakistani planes fired missiles on Indian planes which were in Indian airspace, and they were destroyed there. How was that possible? The Indian planes were over 100 kilometers away from Pakistani planes. All that was possible because of close coordination between Pakistani and Chinese intelligence agencies and their air forces. They jammed Indian communication systems. They precisely hit Indian planes, and they knew precisely where they were and how to hit them. So Chinese definitely have technologies which they don't disclose. This time they will back Iran, but indirectly. Yeah, Tiglunmi, I agree that US will also face the consequences of rise in the price of fuel. Sahale says, the longer this war goes, who do you think will suffer most? US, Iran, or US allies in the region? Well, this is a very important question. This is a very important question. 2 points I want to make. Firstly, if Americans and Israelis fail to control Iranian airspace, it means that Iran is fighting. It will fight back. If in coming days they control entire Iranian airspace, then Iran will suffer a lot. They will try to change regime in Iran. They will try to dismember Iran. But if Iran continues firing missiles, keeps state of Hormuz under pressure, continues hitting oil, energy infrastructure in the Middle East, I think Europeans will suffer a lot. Already we saw that Spain today refused to allow US to use Spanish territory to carry out any activities against Iran. Spanish Prime Minister condemned US-Israel attack on Iran. Europeans might take different positions, different than the US position. Israel is used to such wars. Americans far away from their war or from their home, but once their soldiers start dying, they will feel the pressure. Equipment loss is not going to be very concerning for them. If their soldiers start dying, we could see reaction at home in the US. That is why all will suffer if the war goes on. It depends upon the trajectory of this war. Mingon says the Israelis want to send in Pahlavi, but he's too soft. No, no, this is not the time, by the way. I don't think regime change is possible now in Iran. No, no. Emotions are running high in Iran. You saw what happened in Pakistan. You saw that in Pakistan, Shia Muslims protested. They took to the streets. They stormed American consulate in Karachi, where American Marines opened fire at Pakistanis. Around 8 were killed there. Then they took the streets in other parts of the country, and Pakistani forces opened fire. Them 20, around 20 people have been killed in Pakistan so far. This is what is happening in Pakistan in support of Iranian government. I don't think Iranian people want regime change now. Pahlavi might be a substitute, perhaps in future, but not now. Killing of the supreme leader, his daughter, his son-in-law, and his wife also died today, I think. She succumbed to her injuries too. I don't think that now Iranians want regime change. Majority wants the government. Majority is behind the government. Peace and love. Join, welcome, peace and love. Saleh here. Welcome, Saleh. M. Chiri says, you're telling us that Pakistani people are supporter of the dictator. Come on, try to understand me. Don't just write comments without understanding me. You know that Shia Muslims live in different parts of the world. There are two main branches of Islam: Shia Islam, Sunni Islam. Though there are sub branches of Shia Islam too, there's sub branches of Sunni Islam too, but largely Shia Islam, Sunni Islam. In Pakistan, majority is Sunni Islam. Majority of people are from Sunni Islam. There are Shias too in large numbers, millions perhaps in Pakistan. They are affiliated religiously, emotionally with Iranian Shias. Yes, they are protesting in support of Iranian government, but it's not that entire Pakistan is protesting. Though, by the way, if you ask me, even in Arab, in Middle Eastern countries, people want Iran to hit American bases. They want Iran to hit the governments in UAE, in Bahrain. People are under dictators in most of these Middle Eastern countries. There are there are dictators in power for years, and families in power for years. No real democracy, no real freedom of expression. I'm not saying everyone, but whenever Iran US tensions rise, public sentiment in the Middle East is in support of Iran. But leaders in the Middle East, they support US. Different says, but what about Venezuela oil? Yeah, Americans in control there. That's why they abducted Nicolas Maduro. Only American companies operating there. They did that in Iraq too, by the way, in Syria as well. They're backing Kurds in Syria, backing Kurds in Iraq, and oil production facilities are under Americans' control there. Turkey, a very important question. Tiglonmi says, where is Turkey? Why is that Iran is not hitting Turkey? What is the reason? What do you think? I think Turkey has been on good terms with Hamas, if you remember. Hamas is Iranian ally. In fact, Turkey gave shelter to Hamas leaders. Turkey, to the extent of statements, always condemned Israeli actions. Turkey did not support US and Israel the way UAE is supporting, the way Saudi Arabia is supporting, the way other countries are supporting. That is why Iran is not hitting Turkey. Very understandable, I think. And Erdogan has not been on good terms with Turkey for uh, and with the US for years. Relations improved recently. And then Turkey is also a member of NATO, rightly pointed out. So attack on Turkey could be seen as an attack on NATO. But I think Turkey perhaps has better relations with Iran than other countries in the Middle East. But it's not just, I think more than NATO membership, what matters is Turkey's approach towards this issue. Turkey is not practically supporting uh, Israel or US in attacks on Iran. That is why Iranian attacks on Turkey won't happen. It makes sense. If Turkey starts actively supporting Israel and US in attacking Iran, do you think Iran won't hit Turkey because it's a NATO member? I don't think so. Iran will definitely hit Turkey, but Turkey, I think, kept itself at a distance. The 50 minutes have passed. I thought at the start that I should speak for around 20 minutes, but we today had a good conversation, by the way. Tonight, we talked about the region, about the Middle East. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being with me. I think we should leave now. Thanks for watching. I'll continue my coverage of the war in the Middle East. Let's hope that this war comes to an end because the way things are happening, this war is going to be deadlier and costlier, not just for Iran, but everyone in the region and economies across the world. Thanks for watching. Stay blessed. Bye bye.